It's Sunday, March 5th, about 6 o'clock in the morning. I had to start the video while I remembered a dream I just had. I live in a 500 square foot studio cabin. There's no bedroom per se. There's an alcove with a bed. Then there's a little living area that is just a rectangle, and it has a refrigerator, sink, little corner counter area, and 2 cabinets above and a cabinet below, and 1 drawer. Okay, that's everything. And there's a little tiny table opposite the stove. I can't open my refrigerator door without hitting my little sofa, and if I moved my little table over any further, the stove door would hit it when it opened. Okay, I think you get the picture. It's a wonderful little cabin, 500 square feet, and it has anything you possibly need. The best thing is that when Mark Hardy and I each got our cabins side by side almost 5 years ago now, the Lord also gave us an 8-person bunkhouse. And later is when it hit us that 8 people got on Noah's Ark. And that's a place, just bunk beds, and we have provision for multiple people because Mark was told in a dream we weren't ready. Get ready, go little lamb, go. And I had already been knowing it was the end times before I met Mark, and the Lord had put it in me to be dissatisfied where I thought I had been settled for the rest of my life. Anyway, this all coalesced into this little place. In my dream, I believe I saw the first person arriving. And in my dream, what's also beautiful, because we know with God all things are possible, nothing shall be impossible. In my dream, I was in a big, white, airy, 1-level house, I believe, with a big front veranda, porch, covered, not enclosed, but just like a big awning roof over it. And I had just finished cleaning the last of my dishes, washing dishes by hand, and unexpectedly someone pulled into the driveway. So I wasn't expecting company, but everything was neat, clean, and tidy, and it was a lovely, big, airy place. And a car pulled in my driveway, and it was a soul. The car was a little soul, and in it was my sister Pat, which I will cry over, and I pray this is true, because all other indications are that she'd been following the world with the masks and probably the little snake bites to date. But she's also the only flat-out proclaimed, baptized believer in Jesus Christ who came to the Lord years before I did. And I knew afterwards, when I came to the Lord, she had been praying for me, and I had been as condescending to her as others afterwards were to me when she came to the Lord, because I didn't believe anything. I did believe Jesus when I was little, but then I got very worldly and cynical, etc., etc. And so when she and her husband, since passed away, were baptized, and she invited people to come and then to go to lunch, I know I wrote something like, "I'm so glad this, works for you." And it was exactly what people said to me later. She is the one who pulled into my driveway and parked, and I was so happy to see her and surprised. And in the dream, I wasn't thinking anything about end times. I was like, oh, Pat's here, what a nice surprise. And then a stray dog, I wish I had never gotten involved with, and I shouldn't have, but I do love him. He came bounding down the little hill that's opposite me and ran right into the house, past me, let me pet him under the chin. Well, he does none of those things right now. He's as scaredy as can be. He barely will get near me. He just eats and sleeps on my back porch. But in this dream, I was like, oh, well, that's a good idea. Yes, come eat inside, because right now I have to put his food out in a bowl on the front lawn, and other dogs might catch wind of it before he does. It's insane. But I live in the countryside, and there's lots of owned but loose-running dogs. So in the dream, these few things, and I'm not saying that matters significantly, but if it happened, that would be lovely. Now, the thing was, just before my sister showed up in the driveway, I was hearing Mark Hardy doing one of his videos, or he might have been in the room speaking to me, but it felt like more one of his messages, because it wasn't just to me. And he was talking about the book of Esther and how many Esther and Mordecai saved through faith And you know that's a book where the name of God isn't even given, but we know they're Jews, we know they believe in the one true God, and they act in faith, and they fast and pray and wear sackcloth, and so truly, obviously, that's what it is. Well, in his little video message, what he was saying very enthusiastically and strongly was, and this is language he would not use, which is why I wonder if it was maybe a dream from the Lord, because Mark was saying, you'll save, we'll save, meaning all of us who've made preparations for these end times, we'll save more people than all your Christmas accounts could save. Well, Mark doesn't ever talk about Christmas. None of us who've come out of the system celebrate these worldly holidays. So that's not typical language, but that's what he was saying. We'll save more people than all your Christmas accounts. And he was talking about the book of Esther and the king, and of course the king for us is Jesus. So anyway, all these factors together about people coming, great provision in a much larger house than I live in. And I was thinking how in the desert, the Lord, he provided for them, but we've also made provision, as so many people have. He could make my little cabin look to the world like a little tiny cabin, and it could become a mansion inside, or it can be exactly what it is, and that's perfect. Little cabin, and a bunkhouse, And even with the animal that I shouldn't have gotten involved in, the dog is a care of this world, and I thought I was being kind, but the Lord had warned me nicely against dogs, and when this one showed up, I wish I'd never seen it, but I do love him. He's a cutie pie, and maybe even in his great kindness towards me, the Lord will make it possible for me to care for him more obviously. Right now it's a battle, and he was the only dog that showed up in the dream, which is interesting because there are so many others around, but he came bounding in like he lived there. I don't know, that's the least of the concerns, but I wanted to mention the dream. It was very encouraging because I felt very much at a loss of what to be doing in these times. We keep witnessing to people, praying, we made all the preparations we could imagine to make, and now we know the time is drawing near. I want to mention this too. My local grocery store can't even pretend that things are okay anymore. They can't get things. There are so many bare spots, for instance, let's say on the dog food aisle, because I did go looking yesterday. And then I thought I'd try ordering from them online, thinking maybe they shop from their warehouse and they could get things that aren't showing up in their store. Nope, completely out of what was out from the shelves too. So I pray everybody has been, and I believe everybody has been, taking this very seriously, making their own personal preparations, and if anyone's in a position to, has been preparing for others as well. But in the end, it's all faith. The Lord can multiply, the Lord can expand, as the little beautiful prayer of Japheth, Lord, expand my tent, but it will be what it will be. I am encouraged, and I pray that you are too, and I'm praying so much for my particular sister, but also maybe she just represented those souls who will come, who have believed on the Lord Jesus Christ. I don't know. God bless everybody in the name of our mighty Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.